Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to make a quick video today. Not taking a lot of time today. So instead of a mishmash, this is just kind of a Sunday reads. But I do want to start off with a shout out because I like giving shout outs to smaller channels that deserve some notice. So the channel I'm going to be talking about today is Inklings. You can guess by the channel name what drew me to her channel initially, and I would love to see her get a little more recognition. She makes some vlogs. She just recently did 5-star predictions for the year, and she's just got a wonderful little channel. Been doing this for a couple months now, from the looks of it. And if 10% of my subscribers went and subscribed to her right now, she would double her subscriber count. And one of the things I fear is that these little channels, if they don't get found, they don't get any traction. People going and viewing and subscribing and commenting, that they'll just stop and walk away. So go check her out. I'll have her down in the description. Definitely worth at least dropping by and saying hi. And so without any further ado, I'm going to do just a real quick video. What I've been reading, I finished 2 books this week, which is 2 more than I had expected to finish. Finished Ender's Game. This was a revisit for me. I love Ender's Game. It's such a good book, and every time I go back to it, I am reminded exactly why I loved this book. The rest of Ender's series takes a very different direction, and I've come to appreciate that different direction as well. But I would have rather had 4 or 5 more books in the similar vein to this. Of course, how it ends, it's not going to continue in that way, and you know it won't. But it's fantastic. I just absolutely love the book, and was glad to revisit it as part of the top 150 sci-fi, as well as my 100 book challenge. The other book I finished last night. I picked it back up and simply couldn't put it down until I finished. And that's Worms of the Earth by Robert E. Howard. Michael K. Vaughan had told me that Worms of the Earth is a really good story. Once I got to that story, that was where I had stopped at, was right into Worms of the Earth. All that was left was Worms of the Earth, a fragment of a story, and then The Dark Man. And I was gripped by all 3. I just could not put this down until I got to the end, and had a delightful time with it. Both Worms of the Earth and The Dark Man are in contention already for my top short story read of the year, if that tells you anything about it. Bran McMorn may not be nearly as a well-known character as Conan, and with good reason. But the character and the setting for this is more of a historical fiction almost. And I just love that medieval setting for this, and it delighted me, especially in The Dark Man, where it's taking place with kind of Norse Vikings, and that was just sheer delight for me. It hit all the right notes. So I need to see if there's any more Bran McMorn. I'm sure there's a best of Robert E. Howard kind of volume that matches my 3 Conan ones. That's just all Bran McMorn. I need that now. Not only to revisit the good stories out of here, but to revisit or to visit any others that he's got and anything about Bran McMorn that he's written. Because while I'm sure Conan will probably be my favorite of his characters that he wrote, Bran might be a close second. So what am I reading? I'm working through Lord of the Rings. They just got done with A Shortcut to Mushrooms. So they met Farmer Maggot, who was reduced to a pitiful amount of screen time in the movie. I'm working my way through the Odyssey, still at book 12. Having just finished book 12 in there. I am working through The Three Musketeers. I'm about 6 chapters into this, and absolutely delight. It quickly reminded me why Dumas is one of my favorite authors. And then I'm working my way through the Dark Phoenix saga from the X-Men. Why the Dark Phoenix saga? The Dark Phoenix saga? Well, because I'm curious about it, and this is the collection where Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, makes her first appearance for X-Men. So this is where I started. I'm 2 issues into that and enjoying myself. So we recently had the booktube spin. There were 2 numbers spun. The 2 books that have won are The Stainless Steel Rat's Revenge by Harry Harrison and The Guns of Avalon by Roger Zelazny. So both short, older books. I'm delighted to have a reason to get to both of them. I've been meaning to get back to this series for so many months now and have put it off for other things. So to allow it to have priority now is great, except that then I'm going to want to go and pick up the next 3 books to at least finish that first cycle of 5, and I can't. So it's good and bad. But I'm excited to dive back into Amber and to get back to Stainless Steel Rat because he was a delightful character, and I enjoyed that one too last year. And then I played a couple of board games over the last week. Games I've played. I played a game called Everdell with my wife. That was one of the ones off the top 100 board game poster. And it's kind of where you're woodland creatures and you place your woodland creature on spots to get resources, and then you play cards into your own little personal area. And those cards typically will either give you some resources, give you a new space that you can go to, or trigger special things for you, including some stuff for endgame scoring. It's that perfect blend of a aspect of gaming that my wife loves, which is the taking the pieces and putting them out onto a spot to do things. That's called worker placement. And then getting cards to build an engine, so to speak, of things in front of you, to where if I go here, then I can get this resource, which then I can turn into this, and then this will trigger. And so building up a little series of cards that are yours to make things a little bit more optimal for what you're doing. And that's the part that resonates really well with me. So it's a good blend for both of us, and we enjoy it. It's never going to be one of my favorite games, but it's always a game that I enjoy when it gets to the table and have fun playing. And then I went to a game evening on Tuesday night at a local game store and played 2 games. One of them is in the top 100, and I knew I needed to at least try it before getting around to borrowing it and playing it with my wife, and it was called Rising Sun. And so it's a kind of an area control game. So if you think kind of Risk, where there's different territories and you're trying to conquer and control territories, but that's not the only aspect of the game. There's little tricks and nuances that you can do that make it so even if you're not doing well at conquering parts of the board, you can still get lots and lots of points. And so it's set in feudal Japan. You're able to summon monsters and onis onto your side. So I went with a strategy of summoning some pretty big and beefy onis to help me in battle, and tried to conquer a lot of the map and did a decent job of it. I came in 3rd place out of 5. So I did a decent job for my first play of it. I'm not unhappy about that. The person that got 1st place had a very, very broken combination of who he was, and then just the ability to be able to endlessly buy cards at $1, which gave him lots of ways to get more stuff and to do more things, and then to get lots and lots of points at the end. So it was a one-man race the whole way through, and he did not do well until the very last round at having any presence on the board, and that just showed that you didn't need to focus on that. So it was fine. I enjoyed it more than the previous game by that same designer, which I had high hopes for, which is also in that top 100, called Blood Rage, which was kind of a Viking era conquest where Ragnarok's coming and the board shrinks down, and I was very disappointed by that one when I tried it. And then we played a game called Space Base, which is very much you're rolling dice on your turn, and you get some resources based on the numbers rolled. You'll roll 2 dice, and so you can either take each number individually or the sum of them and get the stuff that's on that spot, and then you can buy a card, which will go onto one of the 12 numbers or 11 number slots, because there's no 1. And so as you're replacing cards in that slot, they then flip upside down. And so when other people roll that number on their turns, you'll be able to get benefits from that. Quick little game, a little bit of luck in there, but has a nice blend. I did enjoy it far more than I had expected to, and so I'm excited to try that one again soon. And then the last one, which is the one that I really want to talk about, and this is the last thing I'm going to cover tonight, is a game called Unmatched. So I picked this up at the game store just after Christmas because I saw Beowulf, and I had heard of the system and had heard it was a fun little quick 2-player kind of skirmish game where you're fighting against each other. And of course, Beowulf called my name. And then we have Little Red Riding Hood as the other one. I'm like, my wife might actually try this. And we did. And we both had a really good time with it. It's pretty quick. It was not so quick this time around because we were both learning it. And she did a lot of running around on the map with Little Red Riding Hood. So I had to kind of chase her down with Beowulf. And she did ultimately win. Did a much better job at managing what came her way. So each of these characters has their own set of cards, and so they'll have a stacked deck, and there's 2 to 3 copies of every card in there. So you'll see repeats. And each of them have a helper. So Beowulf had Wiglaf, and she had a Huntsman, a little token that could move around as well and participate. And the object of the game is to defeat the main character of the other side before they defeat you. Had a really, really good time. The map that comes in here is Heorot, so Beowulf's setting where the mead hall where he fights Grendel, and very thematic feeling in terms of the cards and what they allow you to do, and just had an absolute blast with it. And there's a whole bunch more sets of this. One that has like King Arthur and Alice in Wonderland in it. There's one that has Robin Hood in it. There's one that has Sherlock Holmes and Jekyll and Hyde and the Invisible Man. There's a whole bunch of Marvel ones that are coming out this year, which you would expect they'd have things like Loki and Thor and Captain America and Spider-Man, and they're not coming out with those ones that you would expect. Instead, you get ones like Daredevil and Elektra, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, and so I think that's going to be real interesting to pick up some of the Marvel ones too. Had a blast with this, and looking forward to playing it more and picking up more of the different Unmatched sets, which will have anywhere from 1 to 4 characters in them. And you only need 2 to be able to play. And you could play 4-player on 2 teams at 2, which would add some interesting dynamics, I think, as well. So, sorry for the short video, but my day's gone kind of out of the way for me. Not nearly as how I planned it to be. And so, as a result, my Q&A that was going to do this weekend, I'm going to postpone a little bit. I'm going to try and get to it during the week. So there's still time if you want to submit some questions for the Q&A. I'll have a link to that video down below. And then don't forget to go check out Inklings and give her channel some love. And I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.